swearing in this podcast.
You've got to break away. Let ourselves go.
Good day to you. Welcome to Breaking Glass, the Bowie catalogue, episode 13.
Stop. Do it properly, please.
I don't know what you mean.
You know precisely what I mean, and the fact that you are pretending otherwise fools no one. Do it properly, do it immediately.
Hello, and welcome to Breaking Glass, the Bowie catalogue, episode 13. Lodger. And there was much rejoice. Adam, we missed this last episode, I noticed, and I didn't really think it affected anything, but we didn't have a venue from which we were both situated.
I thought we'd missed it twice now.
No, I think in Lodger, I was in France, you were on your apology tour.
My apology tour of all of Italy, yes.
Did it go well?
They've asked me to leave it before I head back, but I think I've sowed the seeds of redemption.
Wonderful.
So then, Mike, with a due sense of exhaustion and dread, where do you find yourself?
Bedrock.
As in, you may not be Fred Flintstone, but you'll sure make my... Bedrock. Mike.
Oh, right,
Bedrock.
okay. Is that some kind of B-52 joke?
Well, I don't entirely understand what a B-52 joke is, unless, of course, it's the band.
Yep.
But isn't it just one of those pickup lines, like, is that a ladder in your tights or is it the stairways of heaven?
You've clearly lived a much more rich, smutty life than I.
Oh,
I don't know these
dress,
bawdy
you look
lines.
great on my bedroom floor, that type of thing.
Yeah.
You know, the sort of thing that neither you nor I would ever be able to pull off with the degree of verve and chutzpah that is required in order for that to land.
Pardon me, madam. Do you know what makes my bed rock?
No, you've already fucked it.
Oh, shit.
Because the only correct answer to "Pardon me, madam, do you know what makes my bed rock?" is Fred Flintstone, and that is not.
Stupid, Michael. Yeah!
Madam, do you know what makes my bed rock? Could be Barney, could be Fred, the manager of the plant. I don't know.
Hannah or Barbara. Even.
Gravel. I've not watched it for years.
You find me lost, sir.
I'm all at 6s and 7s, my love. Aye.
And where, Adam, do you find yourself this week?
I'm so pleased you asked.
It's almost like we don't really care about this bit anymore.
I think it's done.
I think no one missed it in Heroes. I certainly didn't, listening to it back. And if anything, I apologise we kept it going for so long.
I think, Mike, it served a function, and that function was simply that it gave us something to talk about while we were getting going. But do you know what? I'm anxious for the big push. I'm anxious for the off.
Let's get down to this.
Lodge me up right nice.
Let's get down to brown tacks. Is that a phrase?
Brass tacks.
Brass tacks. Brown tacks is an entirely different thing. So, la 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 la. Bowie news. Oh no, sorry. Actually, I have something now. Bowie news. Bowie news. Bowie news. Just imagine that was brilliant.
Oh my God, Mike! Wow.
Yeah, pretty happy with that. Right, I'm happy I got to use it, because until about 2 hours ago, there was no Bowie news.
Yeah, right up until we were up to the wire with this one.
Was The Royal Bloody Mail have only gone and announced that they're doing a collection of Bowie stamps.
I know. I mean, as you were, making me wait while you read a lengthy text message, it appeared on my Facebook thread. And I am not and have never been a philatelist nor a philatelist sympathiser, but I intend to buy those.
I will. I might even go full geek and just buy some off a website and keep them without ever posting a correspondence.
I may buy them and pop them in a frame.
Yes. A frame would be good.
A small frame.
But they're also doing other collectibles with it, so you can get like little posters and you can get a poster with all the album covers on and collectible things, so you can collect all the stamps and I think it even offers you a frame on the website.
On the Royal Mail website?
Well, something like that, yeah. There's 2 pages of this stuff you can buy.
Oh, I've literally only read a headline.
The stamp, if you want to get all 6 stamps together, it's about £7.
Done. I tell you now, though, I just saw the headline. What image was the one attached to the headline?
Let's Dance.
No.
Never Let Me Down.
You're an idiot.
Heroes.
Behave yourself, sir.
Hunky Dory.
You're a twat.
What do you want from me?
The lad insane, isn't it?
Oh, right, okay.
As we said in our informative podcast, Aladdin Sane is the most iconic image associated with him. It's the one that schmucks know.
Apparently not this schmuck.
Well, apparently no, not you. You who pitched Never Let Me Down before Aladdin Sane. Yes, everybody knows that, don't they? Because they all look at it and go, is that the one with Mickey Rourke on it? Yes.
I know what I like. And I like Mickey Rourke rapping.
Yeah.
So, did you enjoy that Peter Frampton video I put up on Facebook?
Didn't look at it.
But God, I only put it up for you. Everyone else has seen it.
I know. I haven't seen it.
Do you ever look at our Facebook page?
I do. And sometimes I look at the things you put up there. I've got a lot on.
Fine. Everyone else who's listening manages it. I don't know why you don't.
Well, I mean, I don't know. They don't have to put up with you. I do look at the Facebook page. I look at it with alarming regularity because I enjoy reading.
Oh, he's looking at it again.
It just keeps putting up more videos. But no, I enjoyed reading the correspondence from all 4 of our listeners.
Mm-hmm.
And now, one of our listeners' mums.
Oh, yeah.
One memorable occasion. You are welcome here.
Welcome, welcome, welcome all. Lodger.
Yes.
Released in May 1979. Preceded by a stage. What's the grimace face?
It's not a grimace, Mike. It's a question of your delivery. Not of your delivery, about your delivery.
Uh-huh.
You appear to have moved away from TV historian David Starkey, and it was here. You're not doing that anymore, but it started very much sort of news at 10. Lodger, 1979. I don't know what it is you're trying to accomplish. Are you trying to imbue this with a sense of drama?
Well, some kind of import, certainly. I'm
going to ask you, give me a number between 1 and 13, Mike, because I'm going to offer you an oblique strategy while you give us this.
Tits. Everyone right now is thinking what number they would guess. I'm going to go with 9. Who got 9 as well?
9. Oblique strategy, number 9. That's 7, 8... Okay, yeah. I don't know, will you be able to read this, or am I going to have to read this out to you?
Show me and let's see if we can read it. You move back a little bit? Right, for the benefit of everyone listening, it says, Twinkle Witch Go Boogie.
That's correct.
I don't even know what the hell that means.
It means that there were 4 words that I like the sound of, and I put them together. But I would like you, nevertheless, to endeavour to incorporate that.
Twinkle Witch
Now,
Go.
remember, Mike, remember, it's a question, not an imperative. Twinkle Witch Go Boogie?
Shit.
Okay, go. You pick number 9, my friend. You could have gone with one of the easier ones.
Oh. Just trying to think of a witch.
A witch
Right.
that twinkles.
I've got Macbeth. That's a pirate. Yeah.
Alright.
What?
That's not working. That's not working. I mean, the witch was fine, but I didn't get the twinkling or the go boogie. So, I mean, I don't know what Eno was thinking of. This whole oblique strategies thing, that's not going to work.
Hang on, maybe I'll come at a different angle of a witch part. Maybe think of a good witch. So, hello, Dorothy. Hello, I'm a good witch. It's nice to see you in Studio 54. Do you have some cocaine?
Brilliant.
Does Dorothy boogie?
Apparently so, yeah. Well done. You did that well. I will say, if I was to offer you one slight criticism, it's that you adopted the card so completely that you stopped talking about Bowie. Now, if you could give us the 1979 you said?
May 1979, 18 months. There was 18 months after Heroes was released.
Already, this is worth the up to 4 minutes of work that I put into writing these.
How long do I have to query about boogieing?
You can stop.
Okay, thank you.
Now, feel free to ask at any time if you want a new card,
Okay.
or I may just interrupt you.
I think
you've got another 12 to play with.
Let's go with the interrupting. We'll just carry on from there. Right. So, as you all know, you especially, Adam, was the third part of the Berlin Trilogy. Was it not? Triptych, if you will. And it wasn't a major commercial success when it came out, and was the first Bowie album in a long while that was indifferently received by critics.
Yeah, they're wrong.
Yeah, we might have a bit of a falling out on this one.
Nah, Lodger's brilliant. You're wrong as well.
Yeah, that's what.
I'll fight you. I'll fight you all.
All right, bring your cards, you twitchy witch. Whatever the fuck.
I do use oblique strategies in my combat, to be fair.
It informs your style.
Yeah.
Praying mantis with concrete boots.
Many of my opponents do find it disconcerting that I have to shuffle a deck of cards before we are allowed to enter the Palais du Dance.
Palais du Dance. Lodger was originally titled Planned Accidents, mostly because the theory behind most of the recording of Lodger was the oblique strategies, which, as we all learned, ladies and gentlemen, in the last episode, was Brian Eno and the artist whose name we can't remember. There.
And interestingly, neither of us have bothered to look up.
Ever since. Well done, you, sir.
Well done to him. Yeah, good luck to you. Planned Accidents isn't a bad title.
No. And it basically sets the stall out for what the sound of Lodger is, really. That and the experiments with world music. And do you think it's right saying Lodger has a bit more of a pop-orientated sound than Low or Heroes did?
To a certain extent, in that they're recognisably songs, but like African Night Flights, for example, it's hard to imagine that ever troubling the charts.
Yeah, you wouldn't imagine Tony Blackburn. And now, a new one from David Bowie. Africa. What the hell is this?
Tony Blackburn, man. Tony Blackburn.
I'm still alive!
For the benefit of our American listeners, Tony Blackburn was one of the first DJs on...
The first.
He was the first.
He was the first. So he's got, give him his due there.
Was it Flowers in the Rain was the first one?
I think it was. That sounds right, yeah.
And so in the 60s, he was big news and quite important. But he's still here.
Still here,
and
everyone.
He has not yet been accused of paedophilia.
He's not been vanquished by Operation U-Tree.
However, what he is the archetypal disc jockey bellend.
Hi!
He absolutely does sound like that quite a lot of the time. Even when he's on television.
That's not even an exaggeration. That's actually quite a good impression.
I know, I'm reasonably pleased with my Tony Blackburn. So he was. I was listening to him on the radio. I say listening to him. He happened to be on, and he introduced Wichita Lineman, which is a tremendous song, with the words "Who are you and why are you wearing that ridiculous outfit?"
Oh no!
Obviously, the first line is "I'm a lineman for the county." Anyway, okay, then carry on. Oh, fuck off, Tony. Tony, fuck off.
Does he go in the fuck off paddock? Fuck off!
He can fuck off as well.
Oh.
However, he is inadvertently responsible for my favourite anecdote that John Peel ever told. I know I've told that you a million times before, but I love it.
It is a great anecdote.
The Bay City Rollers were playing on an island in the middle of a lake, and teenage fans were desperately trying to wade across the lake to get to them. The BBC's amateur frogman division were dragging them to safety, and all of a sudden, Tony Blackburn comes parading round the corner in a speedboat driven by a womble. That, my friend, is one hell of an anecdote.
Lodger, also another title for Lodger originally had was Despite Straight Lines.
Despise or despite?
Despite.
I prefer despise.
I despise those straight lines.
It was recorded largely between legs of the Isola 2 78 World Tour, which is where that the book by, was it Sean Murray, the keyboardist?
Yeah.
Very informative diary about where he drank around the world and what he drank and at what times of the day he drank.
The informative or the illuminating bits of that book are when he's actually talking to Bowie. Or talking about the man on his tour. However, when in the blurb it describes him as one of the great diarists.
He's no Pepys.
Samuel Pepys, he is not. What it really is, though, is the diary of a man who had a third-rate musical career and couldn't quite believe his luck that he was taken all around the world and had a lot of fun trying to find gay night spots. I think he seemed to have had a lovely time.
I know, I'm glad he had a lovely time, but when I read the book, I was about, okay, so I know where to drink if ever I'm in, Greenwich Village again. So, I know the hot spots.
The next time I'm gay in late 70s Greenwich Village, I will know precisely where to go.
It should be really in the travel section, not the music section.
It's not the best book I've ever read about him, it must be said. However, I did find it diverting enough in its way.
It was diverting.
When he's having a chat with him, that's quite interesting. But fuck me. Shut up!
I love the way you tell a book that you could just easily shut and put down. Shut up! With your voicing and the talking.
Thursday morning, I had a banana. I asked Gareth, as was his name, to depart quietly, but he left his number for the next time we're in town. Then, to the sound check. Brian Eno was there. Bit weird. David was telling a story about him and how great the album was sounding. Oh, shut up!
What I feel a bit bad ripping on it for is it begins with an intro written by his partner, who says after Sean Murray passed away, he left all these boxes and boxes of diaries and notes, which he intended to make into a diary at some point. So his partner went through and did it all, looked through them with a fine-tooth comb, assembled it all, and these were the most important fragments he thought he could bring out of them. It just made me think, fuck me, what the hell did he leave on the floor?
Well, there's that, yes. But then the other tragedy is that the entire diary is, 2 years?
Yeah, I think from beginning to end.
Out of because he lived a goodly while, didn't he?
He did.
I mean,
he was quite young.
He was quite young, but more than 2 years. And so you think, after an entire life of working and being a professional pianist, the only bit of your life that anyone's interested in is when you were
on
temporarily involved with this man.
which I think
Quite sad, really.
it's a bit of a theme, really, with a lot of people who entered Bowie's sphere, the Bowie sphere. That kind of became their lot in life, where they became, even as we mentioned, when we discovered that Dennis Davies had died last year, the headlines were Bowie's drummer dies. You know, and even Woody Woodmansey, who just brought out his new book, when anything comes about Woody Woodmansey, it's Ziggy's drummer.
Oh, and Tony Visconti released his autobiography.
Yeah, exactly.
It's got Bolan and Bowie's name in the title.
Yeah. Well, he knows how to sell a book for you, doesn't he?
Well, I wouldn't have bought it.
No, exactly.
Well, no, I had it bought for me, to be fair. And so I may have bought it, but it was a present, and I'm guaranteed that nobody would, like, most of the people in my sphere would not necessarily have known who Tony Visconti was, but they do know that I'm interested in David Bowie.
Exactly. So, I think a lot of people also use it as a selling point. Which, to be fair, if, you're getting on a bit, you got to make a buck, then fair enough.
Yeah, but I mean, Sean's diaries were posthumous, weren't they?
Exactly, which, kind of begs the question. It's not that interesting, Sean. I don't sit there reading the liner notes of stage and go, yes, I wonder what club Sean Murray went to that night in Japan. If only he'd written down. He has? Oh, Ambrosia!
I wonder if Sean managed to find himself a bit of ass that evening. Oh, he did! Tremendous!
Sean, my darling, I couldn't help but notice we are here in Luxembourg, on tour, and you've not had one sniff of us since we've been here. Are you all right, my lad?
I'm quite okay, David. All my needs are being met.
That's Sean Murray.
Isn't it Sean? Is it Sean Mays?
I don't know. We've said his name several times now, and I've only just started thinking, am I saying his name right? Because I'm going to have to do a shitload of post-editing on this. Hang on, I've got stage to hand. Or do I?
You say post-editing, Mike, but...
I listened through again and cut out any really offensive racial slurs. Sean Mays. Sean Mays. Yes.
Oh, I was right.
Yeah, well done. Well, we apologise to Sean Mays and his
Sean
estate
Mays.
profusely, even though we've just kind of shitted all over his diaries. But thank you for writing them anyway.
Yeah, we've shat on them a little bit, but we did both read them in their entirety.
We did buy it and read it, so...
Although I got it in the works.
Oh, and I actually borrowed off you, didn't I? So, ooh.
Yeah.
Shh, don't tell anyone.
I think I paid £2 for the privilege.
Ooh. Right. Lodger.
Yes.
So, Heroes was... On that, we had the main guitar sound of Robert Fripp. Here, replaced, I should say, by Adrian Belew.
Hey!
Adrian Belew's here. We all love Adrian Belew. Having been poached from Frank Zappa's touring band, which aggravated Frank Zappa no end, apparently.
Oh, but what fucking didn't aggravate Frank Zappa?
Oh, he just seemed like a real surly cuss of a man, didn't he?
Do you know, I've not heard cuss used as an insult for some time. I'm enjoying that.
Well,
he was just a surly cuss.
He was just the right dude, wasn't he? And I mean that as an insult.
He seemed to spend his entire, professional life just going, no one gets how good I am.
Yeah, he's terribly good, Frank.
Yes, make another joke about boobs.
Fart noises are quite funny. To a point, Frank.
To a point. Generally, they're funny when they're sort of incongruous, Frank, or out of context. A fart in a funeral, Frank, that's funny. A fart-based symphony, which you've undoubtedly attempted at some point.
He did. There is footage of it, him having written it in his later stages of life.
Brilliant.
Yeah, when I think it was in Strange Fascination, the book, it has a story of how when Bowie first met Adrian Belew, having gone to see Frank Zappa on tour, and they went to dinner in a Chinese restaurant or something, and Frank Zappa just kept referring to Bowie as Colonel Tom or something like that. Or Uncle Tom. Basically, something very derivative and trying to be offensive because he was a terribly witty man. And Bowie being the English gentleman that he was did not rise to this poking of a hornet's nest.
Yeah. He wasn't a witty man, Frank Zappa. What he was a prick at times.
Well, his humour was of basically a sledgehammer in a china shop. Everyone! Psh, it's fucking funny, is it? Bah, fun! Chickens falling over. Boom! Fine! Boom, ding, ding, ding. I just did a Frank Zappa concert for you there, everyone. Enjoy.
That is the finest Frank Zappa impression I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Fine! Boom!
That's mikesfunnynoises.net. Thank you, Michael Stipe. Boing. Footsteps.
Can I interest you in an oblique strategy?
Go on.
Pick a number, please.
2.
Oh, strong choice.
I know. I felt a good vibe from it. Add cheese.
Yes, so you have a little think about that. Now let's continue our discussion. Do you have more to say, or can we talk about Fantastic Voyage? Oh, hang on. Aren't you supposed to give me a tedious lecture about Iggy Pop now?
Iggy Pop is a musician.
Fucking blah, blah, blah.
No, I got now in the way of Iggy here. But it is.
Well,
I mean, I'm going to give you some cheese now. It was the third album made with Brian Eno.
Tony Blackburn's back. Excellent.
Add cheese. Add cheese. Eno himself felt at this point their relationship had petered out. And Belew said you could actually see their relationship closing down in the studio. They didn't quarrel, but didn't have the sort of spark that he imagined they once did on Heroes.
Well, they'd run out of Peter Cook and Dudley Moore impressions.
Yeah, you kind of you get this. I mean, even listening to Logic, you kind of get the vibe of two guys who are a little bit like forcing some kind of magic to happen. Whereas before on Low on Heroes, it just seems
like the entirety of this podcast, Mike.
Yep, there you go. That's get in there before anyone else does, Adam.
Well, that's what you've got to own the joke, so nobody else can make it.
Good work. I mean, that for me, it just signals even the name "Planned Accidents" for the original title. For me, just Lodger seems too much of a concept, whereas Low and Heroes, it had a musical theme where what Bowie was looking for, and he was thinking, I've heard this electronic music, I've heard this ambient noise, I want to incorporate rock in that somehow. Let's do this. Planned Accidents, where even bringing the oblique strategies as a compass to like show that, they didn't seem to come in with any grand theme. They literally came in and say, Brian, you bring your cards, I'll bring the band, and let's see what happens. And then I
like Lodger a great deal, but I will back you up on that. It does sound like that.
It sounds like the concept of let's go with the cards seems to have a blanket over the whole album.
And I get if you look at the cover art, which obviously was produced at great expense and so on, and time, is it a style over substance album?
I think
whereas
so.
Low and Heroes definitely had the chops.
Yeah.
To back it up. I think Lodger is definitely a less cohesive album.
Yes, completely.
Now, talk to me. You've just mentioned the personnel.
Yeah.
Which I'm just looking at here. Stan on saxophone.
Stan Harrison on sax. Yeah.
You see, the beauty is... Oh, and Sean Mays on piano.
Sean Mays is
Sean Mays here.
Brian! Paul! I'm sorry, Paul. Paul, bring him some nibbles. Sean's here.
Certainly. Did you say Stan Harrison?
Stan Harrison. Stan.
Yeah, the saxophonist.
Yeah.
Who is that?
Mm.
Stan Harrison.
Yeah.
Because it just says Stan.
Oh, right. Stan Harrison was his full name.
David Bowie, Brian Eno, Adrian Belew, Carlos Alomar. Good old Den on percussion, George Murray, Sean Mays, Simon House, Roger Powell, Tony Visconti, and Stan. Just Stan. Stan's wearing a flat cap, isn't he? Stan keeps his saxophone in his shed.
Oh, lad, I hear you've been having some bother with your with your saxophone on
Do you need
ear
me
rolls.
to toot some blues?
Stan, I've been having a bit of a love-hate relationship with my sax. We haven't quite got over Newcorn.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, we're really failing to communicate. I could come in and pop a few bars. Oh, nice one, Stan.
What you want to do is take your saxophone in hand, lad. Take it in hand.
It needs management. The saxophones need boundaries. They need rules. It'll thank you for it in the long run.
Don't worry, Stan will help you out this time. Not doing it again. Yeah, so going back to the album cover, it was it really only works if you've got the full gatefold vinyl, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, shit on CD.
Shit on CD because it's literally just a pair of legs.
Yeah, I don't really. Even on, I do or did have a gatefold at some point. And even on gatefold, I don't really like it.
Yeah, it's kind of a funny. I only clocked it looking at the picture really closely this time. But he's actually against a wall. I always just thought he was on the floor as a murder victim because his legs are all bent and twisted, and his nose is broken and pressed down. I didn't realise there's actually a sink next to him, making it look like he's actually pressed against a wall.
Yeah.
I never clocked that before. I've been looking at this album cover for about 10 years.
And you think that's the key, do you, to understanding the thing?
No, it's just something I'd only just noticed. It was the shot itself was taken by Brian Duffy, who'd taken some pictures before of Bowie and some album covers, and it was taken on a Polaroid camera to add a more grimy, shitty look to it.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah, and inside the gatefold itself, you've got pictures of Bowie being made up, which is a bit of an odd choice to actually show the behind the scenes.
Seems unnecessarily meta, doesn't it?
It's almost a bit like they should go and have a look at the great time and expense we went to make this shitty album cover.
I don't think any of you are appreciating how tremendously bloody inconvenient this was for me.
And my legs.
Yeah, I just don't like it, really.
Yeah,
it's a shame, because it's the sheath on a really, really lovely, cracking bunch of songs.
Yeah, I'd say, with maybe a few exceptions later on, I'd say one of the worst album covers. If we're going maybe just looking at the legs and the title portion, not the whole gatefold.
I don't know. It's not one. I mean, I know, dear Catherine, one of our regulars, was looking for hers, wasn't she? With the idea of whacking it on her wall.
It's terribly upsetting.
It's not one that I'd want to put on the wall.
No.
I mean, I think maybe it suffers, as indeed the contents do as well, but arguably, maybe it suffers with being the fact that it follows two of the starkest, coolest fucking images.
Yeah.
In his entire canon. It's just, yeah.
Like this whole album in general, I think it just suffers from being overthought.
Yeah, a little bit.
Just too much. Like, even with Heroes, you're just like, right, come with me, we'll sit in this room, I'll sit at a table, I'll do some poses for you, bish bash bosh, we got an album cover, and my, what a beaut. Whereas that one, they bought time in the studio, they bought makeup artists, they bought special effects artists who could contort his body.
Like, some of the best album covers are the ones where he just boshed an old photo on.
I mean, fuck me, how much did that Never Let Me Down album cover cost?
Way too much.
To create that whole scene.
Way too much.
Yeah.
Oh, God, that album. We're going to fall out when we do that.
We are, yeah. I look forward to it.
Well, we've fallen out over that album before, so...
Yeah, I think we come to blows over that album.
You're fucking wrong! You're fucking wrong!
I will murder everything you hold dear! Ah!
Anyway, Fantastic Voyage.
Fantastic Voyage. Do you like Fantastic Voyage as an album opener?
Yes.
Go on.
I think it's brilliant. I really do. I'm sensing from your chimp-like expression that you're less keen. But I think that Hello, everybody. We are about to go on a fantastic voyage where I will be playing pseudo-African sounds throughout the whole thing. Hey, it's a really good song. I really like it. In the event. Lovely. Lovely. You're not a fan?
Yeah, it's a good opener in the way that it's a nice intro to the theme of side one, which is, you know, the travelogue side of the album, because side two is a bit more critiquing, and the nearest he got to social commentary at the time, I think. But side one, up until Red Cells, is a swashbuckler of an album. I just think to me it sounds very flat. It doesn't really go anywhere, and in terms of like there's no real progression in music, it's just a steady pace throughout, which I find quite dull. I hate those fucking mandolins.
Really?
I hate those mandolins. It sounds so Mamma Mia.
Oh, I really noticed.
Yeah.
I don't think it all sounds the same, like pitch. I mean, think of us as fatherless scum. I love that bit. But I'll never say anything.
I mean, Dennis Davis is, as always, he's Den. Good old Den. He's great in the background. But any time he just goes, you got the mandolins coming back in. I mean, it sounds like to me you'd go for breakfast on a cruise ship and you'd have this song playing in the background. I mean, it sounds warmer than anything on Heroes.
You're describing a very different song to the one that I hear. You seem to be describing something quite cosy and chintzy.
I know,
I don't get that at all.
That's what I hear something very. I do hear chintzy. I know the lyrics completely go against that. Once again, belaying the concept. And obviously he's whereas before he's talked about a figurative apocalypse, something that could happen in Hunger City and all that. This time he's actually appealing to politicians of the world who might be getting a bit too argy-bargy and hot on the red button, and he's asking them, what's the line he says? Dignity is valuable, but our lives are valuable too.
It's a moving world, but that's no reason to shoot some of those missiles.
It's quite literal.
It is very literal. I think it's a really Bowie-esque song, though. I think there's loads in it. It's up, it's down, it's fast, it's slow. It's got interesting lyrics. I just really like it. I wouldn't put it as one of his... It's not one of the all-time greats. But I think it's a smasher.
It doesn't move me at all. Like, the sound does nothing for me. Like I say, there never seems to be a high point in it. It doesn't even start slowly and progress into something grand that can catch you off guard. To me, it's literally the song starts, it ends. Sorry?
It literally builds to something grand, because I'll never say anything nice again. How can I?
Yeah, like, I'll give him that. The voice sounds good at that point, but yeah,
His voice always sounds good. He was a good voice man. Solid work.
He did a good voice. Yeah, it just leaves me cold, the song, completely. And right, what I will say with Lodger in general, I've never been a big fan of Lodger. I go kind of with the majority on this, saying it's a bit of a disappointment after Low and Heroes. But every single time I put it on, I come in with fresh ears thinking, this will be the time it clicks with me. This will be the time I'll go, right, I've been a Dunsky all these years, and Lodger's actually a wonderful masterpiece. And as soon as I put it on and I hear Fantastic Voyage, I just go, no, it's nothing doing.
It's not a fantastic masterpiece of an album. It's not. But I think it's got some really, really strong songs on it.
Oh, yeah.
And repetition. Which is also there.
Interesting.
However, the one I'm anxious to talk to you about is African Night Flies.
Okay, just hold it there. I just want to say one more thing on Fantastic Voyage. I think it's actually quite an important little tidbit.
Okay.
This was actually the very last song he ever sang on a tour.
Oh, that's quite profound, isn't it?
Yeah, so, you know, we watched the last 5 years and they showed footage of him singing, it was Heroes, wasn't it? Was it him?
Probably, yeah.
When we were saying how upsetting it was to see him performing in the Carhartt jumper hoodie. But that was, it was after that performance he then came out and did a second encore, and the encore was Changes, Wild as the Wind, and Fantastic Voyage. And Fantastic Voyage was the very last song he sang on the reality tour.
Oh, wow.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm going to have to rewatch the reality tour then. You seen the BBC have just popped one out as well now, other than the last 5 years. Bowie at the Beeb.
Oh yeah, no, I caught some of that. It was really good.
I caught some of that, but then, it was bedtime. So, but I've got it recorded. I watched like the first 15 minutes of it and thought, this is really good, but I'm going to want to watch this properly, not where I am now, which is sort of like, I'll just watch telly for 15 minutes because I am going to go to bed.
Yeah, I was going to skip it initially because I thought it'd be one of those things where it's like showing every time he was on top of the Pops or Old Grey Whiskey test.
I felt sure it was going to be a little bit of a cash in.
Yeah, but it was much
Harry
more.
Cryer would be there, and that American DJ whose name I always forget.
Paul Gambaccini?
Paul Gambaccini.
David Bowie was very good and now is dead. Thank you, Paul.
Freddie Mercury and I were great friends of his at the time.
Oh my god! A famous musician has died! Bring forth Paul Gambaccini! I remember Leonard Cohen in 1969. Yes, Paul.
We were in the Village, and
Sean Mays had told us where to get a delightful bourbon and coke.
a bourbon and coke and some ass.
Ass!
In the market for.
Susanna ass, for likes of which God has never seen, and such worm sign.
Always a pleasure to hear a Dune quote right in the middle of that.
African Night Flight.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what you have to think about this, because for many, many years, African Night Flights was, to me, when I was younger, obviously, was just one of the most avant-garde things I'd ever heard. I thought it was fucking bizarre. And as such, it has a very, very special place in my heart because, well, as you know, we both quite like little touch of weirdness
Oh, yeah.
in our music, but I really, really, really like it. Gotta go to work to Elizabeth's father.
Hey, oh, was she well? It's a bit of a change of pace from Fantastic Voyage, isn't it?
I was listening to, in preparation, I was listening to the record at work. And, obviously, when somebody comes in to ask you your professional opinion on something, and you're in your office, basically singing to yourself, seems like another day I could fly with the eye of God. Excuse me, Adam, can I just borrow you for a second? Yeah, yes. Hang on.
Sucked at your mind, oh my.
Why did it have to be African Night Flights? Why couldn't it have been any of the conventional songs? Because I could see people by the door going, the fuck is he? What's he doing? What is it?
Well, it's his remembrance of a lovely African safari trip he just had with Duncan Jones. That's what inspired it. A holiday.
He took his kid on a holiday.
And this is what came out of it.
Had a lovely time. And then this is what he... This is my summer. What I did on my holidays by David Bowie.
My darling boy, instead of taking photos and having a slideshow, I thought I'd compose a song about a wonderful time in the Serengeti.
Who's Elizabeth then?
I don't know, but whenever I hear that phrase, gotta get a word to Elizabeth Father, I suddenly imagine I'm in Jane Austen land again.
You see, I assumed it was Her Majesty the Queen.
Oh, very good boy.
Presumably he's displeased with the course her royal career is taking and wishes to get word to her father.
Or he's not happy with the colonies, and the king must hear of this forthwith.
Yeah.
Those blood diamond mines ain't churning out the blood diamonds they should be.
Wise like orangutan, that was me. I don't know in any way what to say about it.
It's a ludicrous song. It's such a weird, like...
That is the word, Mike. It is a ludicrous proposition.
But it's a wonderful thing. Where did he get the idea for the sound of it? Like, just...
I don't know.
The tempo, the rhythm, everything about it, even his delivery, which is essentially... It's nearly rap, which I know other people have said, but he's nearly rapping in it. Even before rap was a thing.
Well, given the fact that you and I both just tried to read a couple of lyrics and tripped over our own tongues,
Yeah.
it is a difficult song.
Yeah.
How many takes must that have taken? What was he thinking? The entire song sounds like it's on the verge of collapse.
I wish he just sung it live once.
I don't know if he could.
I don't know.
I mean, I'd love for Tony
Tony.
to talk about that. I don't want another anecdote about how you made Heroes. I want an anecdote about how that was made.
Yeah.
It took David 36 hours to get through verse 1. He didn't even write the lyrics down. He just stood up and started riffing.
He stared a child in the eyes.
Habari.
Habari is a greeting, apparently. In Kiswahili.
Oh, it's Swahili.
Kiswahili.
Of course, yes.
Not Swahili.
Yeah.
And this is also a track that famously has the phrase "Cricket Menace" by Eno. And Cricket Menace, if anyone's wondering, is basically a drum machine treated and synthed. It connects to a keyboard and then treated to within an inch of its life. So it's all sped up, synthesized, slowed down, sped up, and warped to create Cricket Menace.
I mean, are there any instruments on this that are left alone?
No, I don't think even the band were left alone. I think
If you are talking about our Lodger quite correctly, as though it was just, balls to the wall concepts, lads.
Concepts, my boy.
What's this album going to be about, David? We haven't decided. We've got 70 ideas.
And we're going to try every single one.
And 15 of them are in African Night Flight. It's such a ludicrous.
It seems
ludicrous song.
African Night Flight seems a good point to bring out the factoid of a recording session where, on all previous albums, Bowie would do a jam session to start proceedings and see where it would take them and everything.
Yeah.
Quite a natural progression of musicians coming together and just getting a vibe and everything. Whereas on Lodger, before every jam session, Professor Eno, bless him, would instruct the musicians using an oblique strategy card, but he would also write out on a blackboard 8 of his favourite chords, and as the musicians played along, having got their instructions from the oblique strategy cards, with a fucking pointer, apparently this is it, he would point to a chord on the blackboard, and the musicians would have to change that chord. Something which apparently infuriated Carlos Alomar no end.
Yeah, but, as we've said, what doesn't piss off
Alomar. He also said that in the studio they're recording in Switzerland, instead of them being in a studio and everyone else being on the other side at the controls in the booth, they would be upstairs in another room and they could actually see the musicians playing through CCTV. So whenever they would give instruction, it would be like a voice of God. Say, Carlos Alomar, could you play that again in that chord? Or try that again in that way. And Carlos Alomar was saying, it just felt like you were like a lab rat and just being observed as opposed to being a musician.
This feels like an apposite moment to invite you to consider a new oblique strategy, Mike. Can I ask you to pick a number?
For me.
4. 1, 2, 3. Pleased with 3. I'm pleased with 3. But 4 is... It's nice. It's more of an inspirational one.
Dance like nobody's watching.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure how I can dance on a podcast.
I think the main thing is, Mike, you are being too literal.
Okay.
So what I would ask you to do is either you could make your soul dance, or, I don't know, maybe your voice could dance, or maybe you could just consider its message and adopt it, incorporate it, if you will, into Your processes.
Okay.
I'm enjoying having your full attention at this time.
Sorry, I've just been invited to something. What the fuck is this? I'll get back to that. Sorry. All right. So I need to intone as though I'm dancing like nobody's watching.
No, not literally. You're being very literal.
What?
The thing is, what you've got to understand, Mike, is that for great minds like Eno and I, we're not we're not hamstrung by your limitations. You're still thinking in these very four-dimensional ways, and I've moved into a whole new paradigm. I'm not sure what paradigm means.
Fuck off. That's what it means.
You could fuck off, though, couldn't
You know what you can do, mate? You can fuck off.
You could fuck right off. That'd be alright.
Dance like nobody's watched. Right.
Well,
I'm struggling with this one.
Dance me straight into... Oh, if you're struggling with this, mate, you...
Whoa, Nelly.
There's worse. Alright, let's move on.
No, you keep doing this. You keep doing this, and there's so much more to say. Come on, Adam. I know you're hungry for your chicken sandwich.
I am hungry for the chicken.
Right. Moisey.
In this heat.
One of the things in African Night Flights that's important mentioning is when he was in Africa, Bowie met ex-Luftwaffe veterans at the bar when he was in Mombasa.
I sense this is just a lengthy way of just working in another German accent.
So, move on.
Go on, do your story.
No, but he met ex-Luftwaffe veterans in a bar in Mombasa, and he just thought, what an alien, incongruous place to meet, German war veterans.
I'm delighted to meet you. I once sent some down in
Have you ever been to Perth? It's a great part of the world.
Excellent. I got a last for life.
Yeah, and in African Night Flights, instead of a chorus, it has a chant, which is... How's it go?
What?
How does the chant in African Night Flight go?
I don't know. I've got... Oh, my God. Well, my brain has moved on, so you were about to ask me how to do the chant, and all I can think of is Yassassin!
Well, you've really moved on.
Which is not right. Yeah, I mean, I've already skipped past move on.
So let's
I've
segue.
literally moved on.
Let's segue horribly, mercilessly, sludgingly into move on.
No, how does the chant go?
No, give me vinyl. Ugh. Oh, jeez. Oh, it's tough. It's tough. I told you. That's scary monsters.
Habari.
Ugh. Yeah, I got it here. I got it.
There's that cover.
There's that cover for you.
What are you looking for?
The lyrics.
Oh, it's Asante Habari Habari. Asante Habari Habari.
Right, so it's Armand Asante. Right, let's move on. Damn it, that wasn't even intentional. Let's move on now, shall we? To move on.
I've literally made this joke like 3 times.
No one's listening. At least I wasn't.
No, I mean that. Let's face it. Even by our standards, that was clumsy. That was poorly handled. I think on that particular night flight, we nailed all of it but the landing. Now it's time to move on. Yes!
Yeah! Push it to the limit.
Do you know what I think every time I listen to Move On?
I don't like it.
No, I do like it.
Oh.
I don't think it's amazing. I think it's fine. But I always think there's a great music video to be made to Move On. And in my head, it looks, if you imagine, please, a cross between Duran Duran's Rio and the bit at the beginning of Monty Python's The Meaning of Life, the Allied insurance thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's definitely a boat. and there's an awful lot of people looking out across the horizon.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, people are having a nice time, and they're probably wearing primary coloured suits.
See, when you said a mix between Duran Duran and Rio, I immediately thought of Shane Meadows' This Is England.
No, I'm imagining Duran Duran themselves, but on a galleon rather than a 80s pleasure yacht.
To me, that sounds more like Red Sails.
No.
Okay.
No. Red Sails is on a boat, but they're definitely pointing a lot of cutlasses.
Yes. But they own that boat, whereas on Move On, they've rented it for the day.
Well, sort of. It might be some sort of pleasure craft, yes. But on Move On, they're definitely doing this, hand above the eyes.
Mm-hmm.
The top of the boat is crashing through surf. Crashing through. Move on, splash, look down, maybe foil some smugglers. I don't know. But it's definitely, there is a great music video to be made, and I think we should.
You got 10 grand, kid?
I mean, I could do it in 10 grand, provided you're prepared to film it. So, I really just want to wear a hat and go on a boat.
What about a longboat in the canals of Birmingham?
Easier to accomplish.
I'll give you a
grant
deer stalker.
Could we perhaps get the longboat, I don't know, and put it in the English Channel? That's quite choppy. It's got to go up and down, Mike, and you can't just do that in a lock. It's got to go up and down.
Could we not
Unless
just
you want to move the camera.
Could we not just dance like nobody's watching on the boat? That'll make it go up and down.
Nicely done.
Yeah,
We
got it
can.
in there.
I think maybe certainly what what everybody's waiting for is a fan video of a song that nobody really likes and nobody really remembers.
Yes. When people have said Lodger was made in a more leisurely atmosphere as opposed to Low and Heroes, I always think of Move On as a prime example of a song which was made in a leisurely atmosphere.
Oh, it doesn't have much of a sense of urgency, does it?
No, I mean the tune, which the main it's basically all the young dudes played backwards, which Bowie came upon when listening to some old tapes of his, and he accidentally hit rewind or reverse on a tape deck, and it played all the young dudes backwards, and he thought, oh, all that bollocks me and Brian are doing right now, this would fit quite snugly into that sphere of changing and chopping things up a bit, and it sounds quite...
So presumably that oblique strategy was have an accident and work on the assumption that it's fine.
Yeah, he listened to it backwards, liked the sound of it. He then charged Carlos Alomar to write out the discordant chord changes that he heard in the backwards playing.
Can't believe I'm being given this bullshit donkey work again from David.
Basically, at this point, Carlos Alomar is the head of R&D at Lodger Enterprises. I've had a real bobbins idea, Carlos. Can you flesh it out for me?
I've read this oblique strategy. Oblique strategy number 272. Accept some old tosh.
I can't be doing this anymore. That's a funny card.
It's like 3 different songs in one.
Mm.
It's got that very slow build with the sometimes I feel. But then you've
Move
got this
on.
weird bit in the middle where he's just listing countries.
Yeah, again, with a travelogue theme. But
Yeah,
why?
the travelogue thing. And then right at the very end, you've got, again, it's like he suddenly thought, oh, I'd best put some sort of impassioned delivery on the end so that everybody knows the song is finished.
Yeah.
With the can't forget you, can't forget you.
That's my favourite bit of the song. The
I
whole...
don't like Africa is sleepy people, Russia has its horsemen.
Yeah, what other...
I could fuck off, couldn't it?
Yeah, I could fuck off, yeah. Is he just mentioning places he's been, maybe? Is it using it as a metaphor for him as an artist who's constantly moving around and changing? And is it him even using the all the young dudes sample? Or it's not even a sample, I think it's just using the chord progression. Is it him coming to terms with now just being David Bowie and aging, and he's finally looking back on the younger years, and he can see everyone coming up around him who are being influenced by him. And this is kind of his way of saying, I've done this, I've done that, I've been everywhere, man, I've been everywhere.
So your hypothesis that move on is not literal. He's not actually talking about, I've got the wanderlust again. Iggy, grab your bags.
No,
You're saying it's first, I've done that.
Yeah.
Sometimes I know everybody really digs Low and Heroes, and of course Ziggy, but sometimes I feel I've got to move on.
Yeah, I think it's more of that
Do
vibe.
things that are never quite as popular as anything I've done before.
Yeah. I'm just a travelling man. So I think he's using the whole travelogue idea as a metaphor for him as an artist. Figuratively moving on each stage. That being said, I don't care for Move On at all. It's not a song I cherish or enjoy listening to particularly.
Nah.
Yeah.
I mean, I like it. I do like it. I'd be lying if I said otherwise, but I don't think it's a masterpiece. I don't like the Cyprus is my island.
It's almost like, fill your heart with love today.
Yeah. Which some people like.
They do.
Don't mind me, I'm popping some potatoes on.
Oh, bless your heart. You got to get your spuds on.
I'm back in room.
Yay. You got much more to say on Move On or anything? Or shall we?
No, honestly, I don't think there is a tremendous amount more to say. He didn't play it live a lot, did he?
No. Yeah. Again, it feels...
He knew what it was.
It feels like a song that was an experiment that, you know, to me didn't come off that well. So, Yassassin.
Yeah. I'm not a huge fan of Yassassin.
You mean you're not a fan of white British artist David Bowie doing reggae with a Turkish flavour infused song?
No, I find it quite uncomfortable.
I just think it's a bit bobbins, don't find it uncomfortable.
Not as uncomfortable as...
UB40.
No. Ex-Radio 1 DJ Mike Reid.
Oh, for God's sake. Oh.
For our American listeners, Mike Reid was a BBC DJ who was not even as good as Tony Blackburn.
Although
the guy we talked
contemporary.
about before. Mike Reid wrote a musical about Oscar Wilde, which closed after a night.
A night.
One night.
I think actually they realised they were going to shut it before the end of the performance.
Must have done. He publicly came out in support of a far-right political group who are led by a buffoon.
So much
and he thought, Mike, what's the best possible way that I can show my support to this organisation that are frequently accused of racism? What's the most sensitive way that I can possibly show that, hey, we're groovy guys, we like to have a good time and we're not big racists?
A brass band.
Wrong. A calypso beat.
Calypso, you say? How intriguing!
Calypso, with a vague Caribbean accent.
Go on.
In slight patois.
Oh, that sounds groovy.
Mercy.
That's got Billboard 100 written all over it.
Unfucking believable.
What was it? It came out for a day, and then everyone called him an unquestionable twat on every form of media that exists out there, and then he nonchalantly took it down again.
The best thing about it, and there were many things I enjoyed about that particular news story, but the thing I enjoyed the most was his ham-fisted attempts to defend it by going, but it's a calypso! You gotta do the accent!
Hey, if Robert Mitchum can do a calypso album...
But I got to do it in the accent, it's calypso!
I've got to do my alternative right-wing fascist diktat in a calypso style!
My God, calypso will make even the most Incendiary of politics somewhat more palatable. Send them all back. Send them back even.
Exit! Staged over! You may as well just got fucking Snagglepuss to do a fucking presentation to the whole of UK. Go, good evening, my fellow Britons, even.
White middle class men should never replace the word the with D. And that realistically is all I'll say on the subject is you don't get to say D instead of the.
Oh, but poor Mr. Mike Reed. He loved himself some Caribbean culture.
Mon.
Oh, I bet he watched Cool Runnings once and thought, I've got a handle on this, lads.
Yeah, it's largely about eggs and where you store them. Prick, man.
What's
Prick.
a massive Burke?
Well, neither of us particularly like the assassin, so I'm going to give you the opportunity for another oblique strategy, Mike.
Okay, well, I've got a few assassin tidbits, but yeah, lay one on me. Oh, I've got to give you a number, haven't I?
Yeah, you can have 1 or 3.
Oh, we've only done a few. Let's go 5.
5. Oh, you'll like 5.
Now, 5 said, bring sexy back.
Do that now if you would.
Oh, did you know, Adam? On the Assassin, Tony Visconti actually plays the main guitar riff.
Are you doing an impression of Leonard Cohen?
I thought I was being sexy.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Sexiest man alive.
Nailed it. Carlos Alomar.
Not that. That's dangerously erotic. Just deliver your fact.
George Murray and Dennis Davis weren't really familiar with reggae as music, so basically...
No. Weren't they?
No.
Those... such an authentic reggae sound.
I know, right? Which is why Tony Visconti, famous Brooklyn lad, ended up giving the riff. Yeah, Bowie said in an interview at the time that The Assassin was his favourite track on the album.
Who did? Bowie did?
Bowie did.
Oh, Bowie.
Was he just having one of his classic Bowie jokes, a bit like when he said Blackout was actually about the New York blackouts?
When it's clearly not, yeah.
No.
I'm not a moody guy.
Yeah, assassin. Just a working man walking without a sound. About a working man who hates the city he lives in, but he has to make a life. Basically, it's a song about an immigrant.
Yeah, Bowie's a classic working stiff, isn't he?
Oh yeah, he's right out with the people there, fist
He's
in the air.
a humble Joe, isn't he?
My darlings, we must fight the power. Fight the power that be. My darlings.
Wear an eye patch.
Wear an eye patch. We came from farmlands to live in this city. We walked proud and lustful.
Well, he didn't. He was born in London.
He was lustful, but he was born in London, wasn't he? It could also be a throwback to the New Köln district of Berlin, because that's the Turkish district which we discussed in Heroes. Again, not a fan of the Assassin, so that's so far, out of 4 songs on this album, that's only one I actually like, which is African Night Flies.
I'm pleased that you told us it was African Night Flight, Mike, because you've really hedged your bets on 1,
In
3,
case
4.
you were thinking, oh, he seemed a bit, on the fence with Move On, fuck off. Fuck off, Move On.
I bet you quite like Red Sails, though.
I don't know what that tune was. On the ocean! Yeah, I love Red Sails.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it?
It's fucking batshit crazy, and I don't know why.
Get your fucking cutlasses out for the lads.
In
Brandish them wildly.
in the film Pirates and Adventurous Scientists, at the start of the film it plays Swords of a Thousand Men. Is that the song?
Yes.
Yeah.
By Temple Tudor.
That's the one. I think it should play Red Sails.
Yeah.
It
We'll
should-
move on.
do one. Red Sails.
Fuck off.
You fall. We can move on. Yeah. It is genuinely just a swashbuckling pirate ship coming through the seas with a bunch of pirates on board going, it's such a treasure.
Even the lyrics seem like they literally seem to be just about knobbing about on a boat.
This is a great knobbing about song. It's just silly.
Red sails and a mast so tall. Did he see a boat and just really like it?
Tony, my love, have you seen his boat? It's quite lit. Look at it.
Look at this fucking boat, Tony.
Everyone.
Hey, David, look at its mast. It's so tall.
It's got a great mast. Thank you, Iggy. It does, doesn't it?
Red sails, thunder ocean. Red sails, sailor can dance like you. Brilliant. It's ace.
Someone said he was inspired to write a song thinking about British mercenaries adrift in the China Sea.
No. It's when he saw a big boat wanted to
He
buy
went
it.
to Cutty Sark at Greenwich, and then he went to the Gypsy Moth pub, and he had a lovely afternoon.
And then he got to the very last verse, and he wasn't sure what to do. So he went, I'll tell you what, we'll turn it up a little bit. The hinterland!
The hinterland! We're all going to the hinterland!
It's far, 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 far,
Far, far, far, far away.
Which is pure B-52s, to be honest.
B-52s. And then you got the extended Adrian Belew guitar riff on the end.
Yeah.
Which sounds a little bit like turned down Robert Fripp.
That doesn't matter. The fact is, they thought it's the very end of the song. Here's where we put the guitar solo.
Yeah. Much like Robert Fripp on Heroes, what they did do to Adrian, it sounds like a bit of a stitch up. But they basically recorded all the songs and then just put Adrian in a Mr. Belew. I'm sorry, I'm not that familiar with him. They put him in the studio and just said, right, Adrian, we're going to play you a song now. Just play along to it. And so he would just play along to each song. He'd get three cracks at the whip. And then they just
That's
go,
it.
you're done.
Pound a time, Mr. Belew. Pound a time.
Yeah, so
three goes for a pound.
He got 3 chances to play along and just do a riff, having never heard him before. And then after the third time, I go, right, that's your lot, Adrian. We're gonna pick one of that or chop and change them.
When you say Mr. Belew, though, it sounds an awful lot like you're talking about the animated character from the Jungle Book.
Mr. Belew, if I could, there is a young boy here in the jungle. He says he's with you.
Now, I can't attempt that guy's accent.
Wow, that's entirely camp. Oh, baby, send me the boy.
Yeah.
Did you just drop your spuds in surprise?
He didn't sound quite that predatory when I watched it.
Oh, baby. Oh, Robin. It was basically the same voice, wasn't it? It was the same actor. Phil Harris.
It was even the same, a bear.
It was just, but they even used the same template. They just used a different colour.
Well, stick with what works, baby.
Oh, baby. Did we have anything more on Red Sails? No. I think we're good. Right. Now, I've finished my notebook on this one. So now I can start this one.
Wow. I look forward to that gem going.
So many Iggy Pop facts in this notebook. That can go in the archive.
Did we
DJ.
ever hire a Breaking Glass archivist, by the way?
No, unfortunately, my fuel expenditure for my gold rocket share last month just exceeded.
Yeah, well,
And I needs it for sitting.
that really has been burning through any junkies that we receive.
And unfortunately, over Christmas, I left it on the garage, so it just burned through all of January's fuel. Maybe next month we'll put out a post on Facebook for a Facebook archivist. You can just keep track of everything. But DJ David Jones,
Oh, yes. Very good, yes.
yeah, released as a single, peaks at number 29 in the UK. It was originally released on a green vinyl, which apparently now is very, very valuable to collectors.
It doesn't surprise me that to be honest, the only thing surprising about that is that it got as high as 29.
You think?
Do you think it sounds chart friendly?
See, I'm kind of tempered on these songs because I'm familiar with all of his singles because when I was a kid, a lot of the time when I say in this podcast, I know this song because of the single and I didn't listen to it when I was a kid. It's because my dad actually bought the CD David Bowie singles in 1993 when that album came out. So which is why I'm familiar with like Beauty and the Beast so much because it was not even a big song, but it was a single. Same thing with DJ. I'm very familiar with it, so I kind of really like it. I mean, how many songs do you know in the charts that start off with like a violin solo?
Well, that's what I mean. Very, very few. And then you've got odd little lines like humble pie or bitter fruit.
Yeah, funky guitar.
Thank you, Adrian. Baloo.
Yeah, it's a weird way he uses the figure of a DJ in the song because back in that day, DJs were they were almost celebrities in themselves back in the day, weren't they?
Well,
Like,
we've
mentioned several of them in this podcast already, but they you know, nowadays you got your Nick Grimshaws and your fucking Chris, what's his name?
Moyles?
I was going to say Morris, not the same man at all.
No, the weapons grade satirist who has never made a bad thing.
Yeah. No, nowadays your disc jockey's a 10 a penny thing on many different radio stations. Back then, the sound of a DJ was almost, from God's mouth to thine ears.
Well, yeah, and it was the era of DJs as tastemakers, as opposed to people that played what a station has told
what
them
the
to
producers have literally. I mean, that's how it works now. You're literally handed, here's your A list, here's your B list. Play the A list once an hour, B list a couple of times every few hours.
Yeah, like the Six Music, what's his name, Mark, not Radcliffe.
Steve Lamacq?
No, Mark Summit. It was. Anyway, the one that was in Mark and Lard. So Mark Radcliffe, who appears with Stuart McConey on things, and is very, very good. He was in a sort of DJ double act with this other fella.
Mark and Lard?
Mark and Lard, but Lard was the guy that was in The Fall, and I can't remember his name.
Yes, I know who you mean. I can't fucking remember his name.
But they were saying that on a 2-3 hour show on Radio 1, they were allowed to pick maybe 4 songs of their own.
Yeah.
And the rest was pure playlist.
Mm.
And that was the 90s.
Yeah.
So if anything, the situation will have deteriorated. Apart from God bless BBC Six.
In this song, is it a commentary on Bowie talking about how DJs are at that point becoming more well known than the acts they're trying to get out there? I think certainly someone like a Tony Blackburn or a John Peel even became more famous than a lot of the acts they were trying to get over.
Definitely.
Yeah. But the way Bowie talks about them in the song, the DJ is almost a loser figure who doesn't need real light. He doesn't need to go outside his booth. Like, it's almost like Bowie is now the prophet again because he's essentially prophesied the rise of social media and everyone just sat in their rooms talking on Facebook, talking on Twitter, getting out into the wide world via the interweb. But all they're doing is they're sat in their house. And that's what the DJ in the song is doing. He's literally sat in his control booth. He's the god of his kingdom.
I've got a girl out there, she's dancing.
Yeah, the girl's out there having fun, but he doesn't know what she's doing. Yeah, she's having fun, she's dancing, she's going out and living her life, but he's got everything he needs. He's got his followers, he's got his believers, believe in him. But he's just sat there in his room. So he's really a bit of a loser figure.
Definitely. One more weekend of lights in evening places, fast food living nostalgia. Definitely.
But is it more of a commentary in general, or is he actually having a dig at DJs, do you think?
Honestly, I'm not sure, because I think there's an argument to be made for either of those.
Or is he just literally using the DJ character? He's just embodying a DJ character? He's just created a song around the idea of his own DJ.
He's definitely done that.
Yeah.
I think that's almost without question. It's about what his motivation was.
Yeah.
That's where the ambiguity lies. You know when he says humble pie or bitter fruit?
Humble pie or bitter fruit?
You think, is humble pie there referring to, like, is it hubris? Is hubris the word? You know, where you have to eat humble pie or something?
Aye.
Or is it a pun because of the popular 70s band Humble Pie? Or both?
Let's go with both, because I can't be bothered. So is it a case of like a DJ saying, yes, this song's this is a big new thing. Yeah, everyone listen to this, and then just doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
So, you know, then the DJ has to eat humble pie because the thing he's said, this is a big thing, everyone worship them, put your attention to that, and then everyone just turned their noses up and gone, fuck off. And is it, you know, because, fuck off. Because throughout his career at this point, even though he's one of the, you know, the most famous pop artists, certainly in the British rock scene, he's had his critics throughout who've been hounding him, you know, commenting on his every different turn, saying, oh, he's doing that now, is he? Oh, he's doing that now, is he? Is he using the DJ as a conduit to basically say, all you critics, all you tastemakers, everyone who thinks they know what I'm going to do, you can all fuck off.
You can go and eat some humble pie.
Yeah, or bitter fruit, because I've made a success of this, despite what you want.
I, amazingly, have managed to make a career out of stuff like this.
I, a mime artist from Brixton, I'm fucking touring the world. Fuck me.
Look at the size of my lemons.
Look at the size of those Brixton lemons, ladies and gentlemen.
Please, Mike, please, can we do Look Back in Anger?
One more thing on DJ.
Oh, man.
Just because it ties in Look Back in Anger. So it did have a... DJ was also famous for having... well, before Ashes to Ashes, he was doing videos for this album. And he did a video by David Mallet, directed by David Mallet. And David Mallet was the director of Kenny Everett's show. And he did a live... where he came on as a live guest on Kenny Everett's show. He liked all the setup they did. So he invited David Mallet to do a few videos with him. So for the video of a DJ, it has him literally in a DJ booth with blinds up, and he's wearing a delightful pink jumpsuit with an overcoat, and he looks delightful in it.
Tremendous.
And then he's walking down Earl's Court Road, which seems to be unguarded. So someone's just walking in front of him with a camera, and he's just seeing people walking down the street and coming up to him and kissing him, grabbing him, shaking him by the hand.
Look back in anger, look back in anger, look back in anger.
Look back in anger!
But before that, Mike, I'm just going to invite you to consider a new oblique strategy.
10.
10? We already had 10.
Did we? Show it to me and I'll tell you.
Oh no, 10's quite... yeah. 10's going to be harder to be literal with.
Fuck. So, move it. Admit futility.
Yes.
So I should just stop this podcast now then?
If that's what that's how you interpret the strategy, you can leave me to my chicken. Nah, Look Back in Anger.
Used as the lead single in the US as RCA weren't... Used as the lead single in the US as RCA weren't sure the sexual ambiguity nature of Boys Keep Swinging would be a hit.
I think Look Back in Anger might be one of my favourite ever Bowie songs.
Your friend Shazmaz and his friend Roy Carr say it's the low point on the album.
There, they can suck me off. It's brilliant.
Yeah, that was fucking brilliant. I love Look Back in Anger.
I remember the first time I really became aware of it. It's entirely thanks to you. We were at university. I'd listened to Lodger a couple of times, of course I had. Well, obviously more than a couple, but for whatever reason it had passed me by. And I remember from my bedroom I could hear you thinking, "You know who I am," he said. So I knocked on your door and, what is this? It's Look Back in Anger by Bowie. It's brilliant, isn't it? It is brilliant. No, go back to the beginning. And then, you know, when it builds, and then there's suddenly that explosion of vocal. And from that, I've got almost a crystal clear memory of that. Unlike, say, Iggy Pop's albums from this period, which apparently you also played for me. But this takes a valuable hard drive room in my head. I remember exactly when this song clicked. I've never lost my love for this song. For one, it reminds me of knocking about with you at university, which was tremendous fun. But also, it's just a fucking great song. And Shazmaz really can suck me off. He's wrong. He's wrong. It's great.
It's always a great thing when you can remember that exact moment a song clicks for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like, I remember where I was the first time Trout Mask Replica made sense. Or some sense.
A little bit of sense.
Yeah. You think... And for the life of me, there's only a handful of songs I can ever say that about.
Yeah.
That, like... and I think, to be honest, you're almost aware of it at the time, thinking, oh, there's one.
Yeah.
You know, like in Inside Out, where you've got, like, what become the core memories.
Yeah.
Totally think Look Back in Anger now is one for me.
Look Back in Anger. A good video. Another good video. Another David Mallet video. A Portrait of Dorian Gray style video. Although not quite, because it just ends up with he's got paint on his face. Why does he have paint on his face?
Feel it in my voice till you
come. Visconti's on backing vocals, which is nice.
Oh, good for Tony.
In the context of the album, does it sound to you the most straightforward song so far? Does it sound just like, you know, I'm going to go out to do a slightly rocky, punky, pop songy number?
Yeah, probably, but I still don't think it is that conventional.
No, I'm not saying it's conventional, but in the context of the album so far, considering
within the context of Logic.
It's planned accidents and everything sounded so kooky and wonderful before now.
I mean, when you plonk it next to African Night Flies, it sounds like Boys to Men or something.
I mean, basically, does it sound like the least, dear God in heaven, we're trying to do something different with this song? On Look Back in Anger, have they just gone out and... Hush your mouth now. Have they just gone out and made a fucking rock song?
Oh, hush 'em now.
Oh, hush 'em now, darling, now.
But you may indeed have a point, and they nailed it.
Yeah, exactly. They fucking hit the nail on the head, because Look Back in Anger... Sorry, Shazmaz and Roy Carr, but Look Back in Anger is fucking great. And it's the best song on the album for me. Spoiler! Yeah, it just...
Well, I think given my girlish gushing, I don't think there's going to be too many surprises coming on the what's the song of the album for us.
Yeah.
Although I will say African Night Flies would be in second place.
Oh yeah, completely. The song itself, I mean, Look Back in Anger is obviously a famous play written by, name escapes me.
Joe Osborne? Oh, it's Osborne though,
Yeah, it is Osborne. John Osborne.
John Osborne.
Right. So
Go to his friends, I believe.
Look Back in Anger was, obviously a famous play by John Osborne, but apparently the title is not a reference to the play.
No, that'd be too fucking obvious, wouldn't it?
Of course it would. Obviously, just
Bowie
like...
and Eno are still smelling their own farts at this point. They're not going to just do something like name it after a play.
You're right, Brian, my love. It is a very
Terribly
nice sound.
conceptual, darling.
I know you and Carlos are not getting on, but you'll have to take your grievances up with Visconti. Brian, I'm sorry. I'm too busy with this piece of ass from the backing singers. She hasn't been seen to.
Iggy Pop.
Sorry. I'm Iggy Pop.
I didn't know Iggy Pop was there.
Well, he hung around. If you would have taken a minute to listen to my Iggy Pop lecture at the start of this podcast, Adam, you would have learned so much about 1979 Iggy Pop.
Oh, I see what you've done there. You didn't, much like that sort of jingle that you've clearly made, which I couldn't hear. You're just going to put your Iggy Pop lecture in post-production, aren't you? So I don't have to sit through it. Because you don't want to talk while I roll my eyes.
The full 2-hour lecture.
Ugh.
I'm free from the chain gang now. The chain gang being you.
On the old plantation. Shall we rock into Boys Keep Swinging, or do you have any more of your facts?
Well, we could talk more about lyrics, but I don't know. I don't know if our listeners will think that, Adam just keeps rocketing through these songs and we're not going anywhere. I don't know. Actually, no, sorry. Joking aside.
I'm joking.
I have just read something I do actually want to mention. The video does actually offer, because in the song, he's talking to the angel. The speaker was an angel. She coughed and shook her crumpled wings, closed his eyes and moved his lips. It's time we should be going.
Waiting so long, I've been waiting so long.
Look back and anger.
No, is that Tony? Is that Tony?
There's Visconti's back now. Got Visconti.
Waiting so long.
There. That's where we got his voice from.
Waiting so long.
So long. Look back and anger.
So really, when we've been going, David, we weren't far off the mark.
Waiting so long.
We are so good at impressions.
I know, nailed it. I mean, that was the best Bette Midler you've ever done.
You are the wind beneath my wings.
I still say, Oh Industry from the Beaches soundtrack is a fucking belting post-industrial rock song. Oh Industry, however will it be?
They're not great lyrics.
No, I never say anything about the lyrics. I just said it was a great song.
Oh, I hope I speak for everybody here when I say we'll take your word for it.
But Adam, Boys Keep Swinging.
Well, they will, won't they? It's what they do.
They must, and they shall. Bowie wanted a garage rock band sound for the song, so he asked Eno in his conceptual bubble sphere of mediocrity they had been creating to this point. Brian, how can we turn this absolute farce of a recording process so far into something a bit more, inspired? And Brian said, let's change everyone around. So let's put Dennis Davies, who has been a world-class drummer on 3 albums at least by this point. He's drummed up a storm, and he's been doing great work on the album so far. Let's put him on a bass. And then, let's put Carlos Alomar on drums. The famous rhythm guitarist Carlos Alomar. Let's put him on drums.
Alomar. You can see
Alomar.
why some people find Eno fucking tiresome, can't you?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it just feels like you're really just clutching at conceptual straws here. I've run out of ideas, so everyone just do-si-do around your instruments, and where it stops, no one knows.
I will refer you to an interview that, because Eno's got a new album coming out.
He does, yeah.
Reflections.
Reflections of.
Yeah, I wish it sounded like that. No, I don't. I love Brian Eno, but the Guardian have done an interview with him. And the tagline for it was just, well, this escalated quickly. Because he is such a curmudgeonly prick.
Yeah.
Like, he shouts at the journalist, saying, this is boring! You're boring me! Can't we talk about ideas or art?
Art!
like just refuses to answer questions. They're going, I've done this, I've already said it, ask me about triangles. Or whatever it is he's interested this week.
I mean, I will say, I obviously as a Bowie fan, I have absolute titanic amount of respect for Brian Eno. I love a lot of music he's produced and done.
Yeah.
A lot of it, not so much. That is the opinion of the guy, and he makes that much music of differing times and qualities. But sometimes he's a man who takes himself far too seriously.
Yes.
And I'm a Brian Eno fan, but sometimes you just think, ooh, wind it in a bit, Brian, please.
Well, sometimes you get the sense that he loses sight of the fact that he's famous first and foremost as a musician and a record producer, and believes that he is a philosopher.
Yes.
And he's not. He's not a professor. He's a man that is a bloke that tinkers.
I mean, he has very profound ideas on many matters, and his political leanings are very much within my own keeping, but...
Left of centre.
Yeah, exactly. Hey-ho, there we go. Here we are to talk about Boys Keep Swinging. So everyone's been changed up in the band. It was a controversial single when it was released. Although it was the highest charting song of the album, it reached number 7 in the UK. It was his first top 10 single since Sound and Vision.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's got a tremendously inevitable sound to it. Like it rumbles on quite nicely. It's got a great sense of momentum.
To my ears, Adam, that sounds like a bit of a nonplussed, mediocre response to it.
Well, that's because, to be perfectly honest, I can't decide whether or not I think it's great or whether or not I think it's a bit rebel.
I like it.
Sometimes I think it's ace. I'm really, really into listening to it, and other times I skip it.
Yeah, I said I like it, and that's just all I do. I don't even have the thought in me to say it has the rebel effect. It's not even like oh my god, I'm fed up of hearing it. It's just like Boys Keep Swinging. Yeah, I've heard it a lot. It's just kind of passive. It is what it is. It's just. I find the video more interesting than the song itself, where Bowie is dressed up in these. He's dressed up as 3 different styles of women in the David Mallet. David Mallet again! He's back! He loved him in that year. So you got Bowie essentially doing drag. So you got one woman there who's dressed as a faded dowager. Bless you! You got one dressed as a 60s bombshell, and you got one... Bless you! You got one dressed as a high society vamp. And they all look as nasty ass as the last. And then finally in the video, Bowie tears his wig off and smears. Men smear. Burkhead reference again. Smears his lipstick, which was a throwback to... I didn't fucking write it down. I can also order more toast. The smearing the lipstick is a throwback to one of his favourite German cabaret artists, whose name I didn't fucking write down. I apologise to you all for that, because that's stupid.
Shall we just say Marlene Dietrich and leave
Marlene Dietrich. It was also a song that it got censored because lines like, life's just a pop of a cherry, and other boys will check you out, were censored on Saturday Night Live when he performed it famously with Klaus Nomi in the background. But what they did leave in was the bouncing phalluses they had in the background. So, if you were blind, you didn't have to hear Life is a Pop of Cherry. But if you were just watching clean, you could see some massive dongs.
To be fair, I mean, we're both men, and life is absolutely a pop of the cherry. It's pretty good.
It's pretty phallic, inflatable. Yep. if you're a boy.
And men smear.
It does sound like... To you, does it sound like a gay anthem? Is it a call to arms for, enjoy your sexuality? Or is it literally a throwback to it almost... I was never in a Boy Scout group. What are they called? The Chestnuts? The Wingtips? What are they called?
Scouts.
Scouts, yeah. Is it literally him just being like, oh yeah, we're all scouts, oh yeah, you're a boy.
I absolutely preferred the Wingtips, though, or the Chestnuts.
Hey, the Wingtips have got fucking bank. You don't fuck the Wingtips.
Absolutely.
Protect your neck, son.
So, yes, I absolutely will. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I will protect my neck, yes.
There's an element of glam about it. You mentioned there's a slight rebel effect to it. Is there a vibe to it that is rebel genie?
I think there is.
Is it a bit throwback?
I think, to be honest, it feels a little bit. I know that I'm probably wrong. All right, this is not based on fact, but for me, it feels like, where like John, I'm Only Dancing. It's almost like he was desperately trying to go, look, I can still be provocative. I've written songs about boys. Look at my ass. Written a song about boys. I'm still dangerous. You remember how I used to shoot you? But you all now think I'm a weird artist, but I can still sing vaguely about cocks.
Yeah.
I just think maybe it's a bit trying too hard. I mean, he could easily have called it "Boys Keep Winning," "Boys Are Fucking Ace," "Boys, looking for a good time," but he didn't. He said "Boys Keep Swinging" because swinging is sexually ambiguous. And again, that I think it's slightly try hard.
Yeah, I mean, when we talked about Rebel, and we talked about how you and I loathe the sound of it now, Catherine Mallory, the one who likes a line poem, she did raise a very good point, which we didn't mention, but I actually agree with her on, was Rebel was a call to arms at the time for people who were the freaks, like I use that in quote marks, the freaks, the undesirables, the wrong uns. Yeah,
I agree with her as well. Shrift.
Yes, yeah.
Because we're bored of it, but that point is absolutely valid.
Absolutely valid, and I speak for you, Adam. I think we both completely agree with that. Rebel 100%. Is entirely that. We were just personally bored of hearing the song, and I, to a degree,
Put on your dress, face is a mess.
Yeah, and we didn't address that at the time, and I think we should have done. Maybe we'll come back to it more fully in another episode.
We won't, but
maybe we will. I'll make sure of it. But I think maybe there's a degree of that with Boys Keep Swinging, where it's just talking about it. I think to a degree, is it Bowie getting engaged in New York gay culture, and seeing that the scene is more out there now because disco is on the rise.
Well, of course, he's also met Sean Mays by this point.
He's met Sean Mays, and Sean Mays has had a wonderful cocktail in Chicago. He can recommend you to bar.
He met a sailor called Phil, and they had a lovely time.
He met a girl called Sarah who he wasn't interested in, but she was very cuddly. If you want to go back to Philadelphia.
I'd even prefer it if he talked a little bit about the sex he had with these fine men. But it's always met this charming man, and then nothing happened.
And then it moves on to I then met a girl in an elevator, and she was lovely. We hung out for a few days. Tell me about your bumming.
Who did you fuck?
Tell me who you fucked, you fuck.
Tell me who you fucked, you piano playing fuck.
Who did you blew up the ass?
And with that, we'll segue into repetition, because dear God, we've been recording for a long time now.
Johnny is a man, and he's bigger than you.
Well, fuck him, and fuck you, and fuck your Donald Trump.
I don't know how to feel about repetition. Is it the sound of a man taking a very, very serious thing and trying to address it and ending up sounding a bit cack-handed?
Is it a man reading the paper? He's read a news story about a woman whose husband's going to jail for beating her and thinking, I'm fucking starved of ideas, my darlings. I'm going to write a song about this.
Is this David Bowie in 1979 having just realised that there's a problem with men sometimes smacking about their wives?
It does. It
Dave,
does
it feels
feel
it'd
like
be
that.
A little bit late to the party.
I mean, this is like David Bowie doing a social cause song. Well, not even social cause, social realist song. And the nearest he ever got to beforehand was doing God Knows I'm Good. About...
Yes, this is David Bowie's Loneliness of the Long Distance Runner, or Kathy Come Home.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem to really... It's like a kitchen sink version of Fantastic Voyage. It's him going, now, you naughty men who must, you hit your wives. You shouldn't do it. You shouldn't do it, lads. It's, it's just bad. You shouldn't do it.
Note with interest that Brian Eno's name isn't on this one.
Oh,
Neither is
really?
Alomar. This one's pure Bowie. Like he's just got, like the other lads have gone.
What's the name of that Suicide song that I like to sing along to?
Frankie Teardrop.
Frankie Teardrop. Right. This feels like Johnny Teardrop, but Bowie doing it.
Could have had a Cadillac.
Boom, as opposed to Frankie shot it, baby.
Yeah.
Suicide went a bit more extreme. Bowie went, Frankie could have had a Cadillac. Then he slapped her.
I don't want to do the guy down, but I always can't shake the suspicion that had he met Johnny, he probably just would have bought him a Cadillac and said, and there you go, problem solved, don't hit her.
No, he was recording himself when he said, don't hit her. It's like, here are the keys, my friend. Don't hit her. Boom, 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 boom. His delivery is very strange. I mean, to be fair, his delivery is strange. The whole song's strange. In the Bowie catalogue, to this point, he's never been this, like, at-home, ma and pa, literally turn the oven on.
Probably because, that mundane, that prosaic, it's probably because he's not that good at it.
No, it's just, it feels very alien. And I mean that in a Bowie realm, but...
Yeah, considering he's a man that literally sang about aliens.
Literally, to this point, this sounds really strange to hear him talking about social issues. And it does sound, forgive me, disingenuous.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like something he's read about. He's read about a story about, women
Like he's walked into the studio waving a newspaper going, Tony, I've just read the most appalling thing. Hit record.
Yeah. I don't doubt for a moment that he was appalled by, inequality and,
Man's motives, I think, are not in question here.
No, not at all.
I mean, without wishing to sound patronising, I'm going to anyway, his art was in the right place. Ooh.
You've gone very quiet. What's happened to your remote?
Absolutely nothing.
Oh, there you go.
His art's in the right place.
It is, yeah.
Up a bit.
Yeah, the songs are just a bit... Even when he goes, don't hit her.
Yeah.
And it was strange as well, because when he did the Madison Square Garden 50th birthday concert, after they went off stage, and if you watch the HBO special, as the credits rolled, you were treated to a rendition in the steps behind the stage of Bowie and the band performing Repetition. So everyone, stay around for the encore of Repetition, the song that every Bowie fan loves.
Don't hit her.
Don't hit her. Bow, bow, down, bow, wow.
Presumably Bowie had seen some man being aggressive and shoving his wife or something in the crowd and thought,
Very
I've got just the
possibly.
thing. I'll learn him.
I mean, to be fair, the guitar sound is very disorientating. It's a very unique sound. But yeah, it goes with more the sound that lodges is a hodgepodge of songs as opposed to a complete project.
Unusually, I think this is one of the rare times where, in a Bowie song, the music is let down by him.
Oh, really?
The lyrics and the delivery are so odd.
So devoid of any life.
Yeah. But as you say, the music's really quite cool.
Well, because he's obviously trying to sound dehumanized because he's playing the part of a wife beater who he imagines is a soulless cad. Don't hit her.
Yeah, it's a bit simplistic, isn't it?
It is a little bit simplistic. You know, there are shades of grey in this area. And for the love of God, I'm not saying shades of grey in the area of, you know, imagine if a must hit his wife, but don't think too bad of the son of a gun.
Well, what if she's being particularly uppity that day? No, that's not what he's saying.
Get your swashbucklers out, lads.
Red sails!
Thunder Ocean! No,
If only the whole album were like Red Sails.
Oh, but no, we have Red Money.
Do you know, I always struggle to remember how Red Money goes.
Oh, can you feel it in the way?
It's exactly the same as Sister Midnight. Because it's the same tune.
Project Cancel. Dumpling Central.
Exactly. You've hit the nail on the head. There's so many theories of Red Money. And more... It's such a weird thing, Red Money, because there's theories out there, but they sound so plausible. Right, so Red Money is to the same tune as Iggy Pop's Sister Midnight, as presented on The Idiot. And The Idiot was the first album Bowie produced in Berlin. Sister Midnight was the first track on Iggy Pop's The Idiot. And by this point, Bowie had already said to people that he was making a triptych, a trilogy. People have often commented saying, like, "Oh, Lone Heroes, they're double X, aren't they? Is Lodger part of it?" And sometimes people say, like, "Oh, how critics just lumped Lodger in there with them." But apparently at the time, Bowie did actually say, no, Lodger is part of the Berlin Triptych. This is part of the sequence of events. And Red Money is him, like, the lyrics here say, "Project cancelled." It's him literally, like, saying, the first song of this project was Iggy Pop, Sister Midnight. I'm going to take the same tune to that at the end of this trilogy and say project cancelled. That's it. We're done now. We're done with the planned accidents. We're done with the oblique strategy cards. At this point, I invite you, Adam, to lay one on me.
On oblique strategy? Good God, yes. Very well.
Give me number 8.
Number 8.
Number 8.
Number 8. It's a thought provoker.
Gas Mark 7 may be too hot. So Adam,
You've given it a really spirited go.
what? Shit. Red Sails.
No, that's wishful thinking. Red Money.
Red Money.
You wish we were talking or listening to Red Sails.
I mean, do you... Silliness aside, do you think, because a lot of people discuss this matter of Red Money is the last song on Lodger. It's considered the last breath of the Berlin Trilogy. Do you think with Red Money, using Sister Midnight tune, do you think he's genuinely saying, when he says project cancelled, he's actually saying the Berlin thing is done? Do you think
I think that is distressingly plausible.
But do you think he was that self-aware of what he was doing at the time in Berlin and everything, that was so much a part of his appeal and look at the time?
No, I do think it's plausible, but what I think is probably more likely is that Project Cancelled could refer solely to the Lodger album, which does not sound as though it was as much fun.
No.
They sound, as you said, they sound like songs where people are reaching for a good time, but it hasn't quite arrived.
Yeah.
If anything, Mike, what you've really done throughout this podcast is you've taken an album that I really thought I liked a lot more than I do, and you've made me realise that it's distinctly flawed.
It's pretty shit, isn't it?
What you've really done is ruined an album that I liked and made me think that, hang on, maybe there's only 4 or 5 songs out of 10 that I really like.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thanks, mate.
Red Money. Does it mean blood money? A payoff for a perceived misdeed he's done somewhere in his African charms, in his African night flights? I mean, this is also...
Red Money can do one, to be honest. I think it's very dull.
Carlos Alomar and George Murray didn't record any parts on this, so this is pretty much a David Bowie solo song.
Oh, but Alomar gets a co-credit.
I think that's because he co-wrote Sister Midnight.
Oh, right.
But on the reimagining, he didn't do too much. Bowie's vocals almost Nick Cave-esque, I wrote down.
Do you reckon?
Project cancelled.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And he's... Again, it sounds like there's elements in there that try to fuck around with the whole formula of stuff, but... So, right, let's get to the crux of it. What do you think of Lodger overall, Adam?
Well, I thought I liked it. No, I'm not so fucking sure, am I?
No, indeed.
I thought it was great. I thought it was, if anything, possibly even one of my faves. No, I don't.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think that. Apparently, if anything, I've learned that.
Adam, of all the albums we've talked about Space Odyssey, Manifesto Earth, Manifesto the World, Hunky Dory, Ziggy Stardust, Aladdin Sane, Pin-Ups, Diamond Dogs, Young Americans, Station, Low, and Heroes. This was one of your favourites?
Oh.
And the first album.
Yeah, that doesn't count. I thought it was. I now know that it wasn't, and I've been a fool for all these years because I now realise that what I've done every time I've thought about Lodger is I've immediately first thought about African Night Flights and then thought about Look Back in Anger. And then what's happened then is I've been filled with lovely warm memories about knobbing about in Wales with you. And, you know, what I've done then is I've ceased my critical faculties and just focused on the warm, rosy bask of those 2 songs. Red Sails is tremendous fun.
Yes.
I like Fantastic Voyage. I don't... Move On's all right. And I can pretty much take or leave the rest of them. So, no, I don't. I can't, in all good consciousness, say that I do really like Lodger, although I thought I did.
As I said in the as we got into this, Lodger is an album that I've desperately wanted to try and love. This is like, we sat on the first album and we sat and made jokes and fucking took the piss out of it. There's been no other album since then, since the first episode, where we've just blanketly gone, fucking hell. And I think since Young Americans I fucking loved every song on every album. Wonderful thing. But Lodge just doesn't work for me. It just doesn't work. It just... this whole idea of taking Brian Eno's oblique strategies and using them as a way to construct an album, it just feels like such a forced endeavour to make an album. And that music shouldn't be made like that for me. Music should be... Artists get together and they think, right, now, fellows, let's get together. Fellows, madams. Fuck it. Whoever the fuck is there in the time? Let's all get together. Let's make some music. I don't believe music should be made in the way of an art installation.
No.
Which the oblique strategies are an art construct, an art a detriment, and that's what
I think this if what I get the impression of the oblique strategies were designed to shift creative blocks. So you should already have an idea when you start, and then this should just flip your thinking and give you something new. Maybe try something else. What I get the sense here is that the oblique strategies was the first thing they did. So they pulled it out and went, right, there's the card. Now I'll pick up a bass and I'll see what comes.
But whereas on Heroes and Low, it was just like, oh yeah, we got a bass here. No. On Lodger, they just relied far too heavily on the oblique strategies. So it just informed everything they did. So it became so conceptual. It just took all element of enjoyable music out of it. It just sucked the life out of it. And I think that's what happens with Lodger. It's just all the life out of it's gone. And like, even Heroes is a stark album, but you can feel a real soul in it. Whereas Lodger is shorter, more in a way accessible songs, but they're more lifeless. And then he comes Scary Monsters, which we're going to get into the next episode. And dear God, he's gone heavy. But he gone heavy good. He gone heavy good, and we're going to get some fun out of that. I mean...
Alright, don't go making promises that we might not be able to live up to. Don't go promising fun.
I'm just going to say... Right. I said at the top end of the episode, I have... Logic to me has always been one of those episodes which I thought, like, I'm not enjoying it. But every time I listen to it, shall I enjoy it a bit more? I'll put it on again. And to be honest, I've listened to Lodger more than I should have done because I think I should enjoy it. I just think it's shit. I genuinely think it's the worst album he made since Space Oddity. His first album, notwithstanding the Anthony Newley album, I think this is the worst album at this point he made. And I include David Bowie, Man of Words, Man of Music, Space Oddity, whatever you want to call it. I include that in the pile. It has the least amount of songs I love on it. I
can't put it in that.
But what I will finally say is I like the fact that he experimented with the oblique strategy cards.
Yeah.
I like they tried something different. I think it's a bold failure.
A grand folly.
Yeah, it's a grand folly. It doesn't work, but I applaud him for trying to, as a famous pop rock artist at the time.
Yeah.
I applaud him for trying something different, but it fails. So for me, Lodger is a brave failure. But I mazel tov to him for trying it, but it doesn't work for me.
Indeed. As I say, I like it. You've forced me to confront harsh realities about it, but it's always got African Night Flights on it.
It does.
It's always got Look Back in Anger, and Red Sails. And because of those 3 songs, it, for me, will never be consigned to the, shit pile.
Yeah.
Because I love those songs more than anything on Space Oddity. With the possible exception of the title track. I'd rather listen to Look Back in Anger than Memory of a Free Festival every day of the week.
Well, it's a more banger. It's a banger song.
And then that could be why. It could just be my juvenile love of a up-tempo rock song, but I just think it's great. I think favourite song is no secret for either of us, is it?
Oh, yeah, no, I forgot about this, yeah. Look Back in Anger.
You know that thing we do every week?
That thing we do every week, yeah, no, it's all good.
Look Back in Anger, isn't it?
Yeah, totally Look Back in Anger.
For both of us.
Yeah.
And what about The Great Game?
Oh, great game. I'm going to say DJ, I think. Am I?
I can see what you mean with DJ, actually, thinking about it. There's something in the vocal of DJ which reminds me of It's No Game. I am a DJ. It's the register.
It does have a certain vibe to it. It sounds like scary monsters, super creeps, keep me running, scared.
Up the hill, backwards, we'll be alright.
He's got more intense delivery on it.
So I think what we're really saying is we're looking forward to that one more than we enjoyed Lodger.
Yeah. So basically, Lodge is my least favourite album since Space Oddity.
Okay, so are we sticking with DJ for your pick?
Yeah, I'm going to go with DJ for my great game pick.
I mean, I think it's probably getting a bit dull, the fact that we just keep agreeing. But I'm just going to have to agree with you because...
I mean, obviously, Look Back in Anger is a favourite. But, it's a shame because like I say, every time I listen to Lodger, I want to fucking find that thing in there that I love. In my must love, but it's never happened. It's never happened. And I want it desperately to be so. It's never happened. Fuck it. Ow, my hand.
I think you definitely end the episode on fuck it, ow my hand.
Ow, my hand.
And then just play the music straight after that.
Okay. Right, let's end this nonsense here. Thank you to everyone. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you if you're listening on iTunes or Stitcher. We're on Stitcher.
And all of them, yes.
All of them. And SoundCloud. And I can forget one. Polyfiller. That's a good one, yes. But yes, thank you to... Sponsored by... Vulture. Yeah. So, thank you everyone. We'll see you next time for... Scary Monsters. Super Creeps.
Keep me running.
Running scared.
That's brilliant.
Scared. With James Hetfield on vocals.
Yes.